I'm really happy to be here today with my lovely friend, Wendy. I have been coaching Wendy for 7 years now, on and off. She's also done a ton of work on herself and she's studied to be a coach herself also. So I can't take all the credit or all the blame. But Wendy has a fascinating story. Her life has been one that, and sadly, has been filled with a lot of grief. And we've done a lot of work. It's been uncomfortable at times. There's been some ups and downs. But I think it's fair to say her life's in a really good place now. And so I thought it'd just be such a fascinating interview for people to hear and to understand what's possible with doing this work. So welcome, Wendy. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Ad. It feels funny sitting on the sofa.
So this sofa, by the way, is pretty much where we've done all of this work over the last 7 years. There's been a lot of tears, a lot of snot, mainly from me, and some real breakthrough moments. So Wendy, I would love it if you give us, sorry to take you into the kind of dark sort of experiences that you've been through, but give us a flavor of what you've been through in your life, where you were kind of when we met, and then we'll get into kind of the journey of the healing process.
Yeah, so I met Ad in 2009, I think it was.
Wow.
And we were both actually at the start of this healing journey and training. And what brought me to this path was a number of pretty major bereavements, which started when I was 14, when my brother died very suddenly in his sleep. And then 9 years later, my mother died in a very tragic accident that was complicated for various reasons. And I then got married, and my marriage went wrong quite quickly. I couldn't have children. My father was very sick for a lot of that time and was dying, and I sort of nursed him to the end of his life. And then I had a not a great relationship for a year with somebody. And then I decided to just back off from relationships of any kind with anyone because it was all too painful. There was too much fear of loss. And I was also very stuck in my professional life. All the kind of grief meant I was quite stressed and I wasn't able to, I think, focus or find what I really loved to do. And actually the work was to do on myself to clear so much of the story that had happened to me. And that was really when I found out. So life brought us together.
Yeah.
In a big way. Ad ended up going on at that point to learn of various healing techniques, which I didn't do. I was still very much in my sort of professional corporate life and was fighting any form of work for me in this space of healing and coaching.
She really did fight it, by the way. Yeah. The most resistant person you've ever met.
Huge resistance to this journey of professional coaching. But anyway, so that's how I met Ad.
Yeah, amazing. So we started coaching. You had, I think, 2 or 3 main objectives. One was you wanted to be in a happy, loving relationship with a man, right? And secondly, you just wanted to be happy and didn't want to be having to do all this work. If I had £1 for every time I heard that sentence, I'd be extremely wealthy. And just to kind of be happy, I guess, to have got through the other side of it.
Yeah, I think if I had £1 for every time Ad talked to me about the onion and the different layers of the onion, I'd be a very wealthy woman. So I hate onions. But yeah.
We've got to explain what the onion is now.
Yeah,
so the onion is all the layers that you need to peel off, the fears, the doubts, the insecurities, the past traumas, all the stuff that once you peel it all away, it reveals kind of the true self is lying beneath it. So we had to go through probably a few onions, to be fair.
Yeah, I think it wasn't just layers of onions, it was a few onions.
It was a big box.
But to answer your question, what did I want? Yeah, I wanted to learn to be happy. I was stuck in an incredibly sad place, so I wanted to learn to be happy again. I wanted to learn to be happy on my own, and then I wanted to learn to be happy with someone. And then really importantly to me was to get out of this stuckness in my working life and to work out what I was meant to be doing here.
Yeah. What was your purpose, Shallow? Yeah, that's another conversation we had many times. So all of that along the way, sometimes it's really easy when you're working with a client, and other times it takes time and there are layers and you have to keep going, keep plugging away. Now, credit to Wendy, she never stopped. I don't think there was an option really to stop, was there? Much as she would have liked to at times. But we just kept going. It's like you keep chipping away, keep working through whatever's coming up week by week by week. And eventually life changes, right?
Totally. And I think one really important message for anyone considering working with ad and doing this work is it's really tough sometimes and you really want to give up. And my journey, I think, is probably longer than most. So I'm not, in that sense, I'm not typical. But I think most people I talk to who really do the real inner work say there are many times when they want to give up. And what I would say is, if you really want the end result, stick with it, because you can get there. And there were many times I thought I couldn't. And Ad and I had that conversation a lot.
Yeah, so many times. Yeah. I mean, real respect and credit to you, because after you've been through so much and you've come out the other side. So give us a flavor. Where have you got to now? How's life looking? Do you have a relationship? How happy are you? Have you found your purpose? Yeah. Where are you on those?
Yeah. So the really great news for anyone watching and interested in this process and working with Ad is that I have achieved all of my objectives. And interestingly, for me, the first one was achieving happiness in myself. So learning to really be grateful for everything I do have in my life, for the incredible variety of all sorts of things that I have that are so important to me, including real freedom. So I learned to be happy in my own self. I then was able to meet someone very much without effort in the end, having dated a million times, been on every website, every app. And then I just stopped. I stopped looking. I got happy in myself. And then he just appeared.
It happened. This is really interesting because I see this a lot. It happened when she finally let go and was like, I'm happy in myself. I don't need that. And then it probably happened within about a week, didn't it? It was unbelievable.
Really unbelievable, because lots of people said to me, you've just got to stop looking. And I wasn't physically looking, but, searching from my sort of heart, I suppose. And actually, I didn't know how to stop looking because it was what I wanted. And then in the end, I just decided that it wasn't on the agenda. I didn't need it right there and then. There were other things in my life I wanted to do. And he literally contacted me within a week of that decision. So it's so true about letting go. How you let go is...
Yeah, that's the tricky bit. You have to let go of the things you want the most. So if you really, really desperately need something, it means that you're holding on to a frequency that you really don't have it. And you're sort of vibrating at that frequency. So you have to do the work to let it go. And you do that by feeling into how would it feel if I never met someone. I'll be heartbroken or sad or whatever. You work through all of that and change it. And then when you get to a place that actually I'd be okay or I'd be good, that's when you know you've let it go. And the man came in, right?
Absolutely. And identifying the fear that was associated with being in a relationship. So for me, it was a fear of loss. It was like, oh my God, what happens if I meet this person and then? And that was really, really hard for me because it was a very long program of hard wiring over loss. And even when I met him, it took work. And I was very lucky that I've met someone who is incredibly sensitive and supportive and understood, for some reason, even though he hadn't really experienced anything like my life, he understood where I was coming from. But I think identifying what it is you fear and working through that fear is so important. And that's what Ad is so good at. This deep, intuitive questioning you bring that, like, I'm like, oh my God, he can see it. How does he know that? And he's right.
There's no hiding.
There's no hiding. And the third objective was to find a path in my working life that really nourished me and I was excited about. And I ended up with a lot of, resistance. I ended up becoming a coach myself and a tapper or EFT practitioner. And
a tapper.
The tapping has been an incredibly valuable self-help tool, because I think as amazing it is to work with a coach, when you can do the work on yourself, either through
Yeah.
the processes that ad shows
You
you.
need both. You need
Both.
tools yourself that you can do this stuff every day. You don't want to be, first of all, you don't want to be paying a coach every day. And you physically, you couldn't see one every day. So you've got to have something to work through yourself.
Yeah. And parts of what ad does, and for me, tapping just really answered that need to be able to properly transform, because I think we're rational people. We know our story, right? We know what we can't have. We know what we want. But when we can really actually go into the fear and work through it and transform, either through some of ads processes, and I should say for me, the tapping really helped to let go on a different level than just mentally.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. So I've experienced working with Wendy. She's done some coaching and some tapping as a tapper on me. And it's really powerful. If you haven't tried it, just give us a quick demonstration of what it actually is, because most people won't have heard of it before.
Yeah, okay. I'll really quickly show you the points. So it's very simple, and this is just a really nice kind of exercise to relax you. So the first point is on the kind of inner corner of the eyebrow. So if you just touch that point and take a breath in and out. And then the second point you go to is on the bone at the side of the eye. So you can feel that bony area, and you take a breath in and out. And then you come to the bone under the eye and you take a breath in and out. And then you come to the point under the nose and you breathe. And then the point in the middle of the chin in that dip, and you breathe. And then just under your collarbones, actually, if you even massage them very slightly, it's very, very soothing to the body. And that's a point that's related to anxiety and fear. So it's a really great point for if you're ever anxious. I'm just showing you the points gently, but when you tap, you start to send a pulse to the part of the brain that controls your fight-flight response. So that part of your brain switches off, and you start to feel calmer. And then there's a point under the arm on the bra strap for women, and then on the crown of the head, so towards the back of the head and the crown of the head. And just before you go to bed at night, if you literally touch those points and breathe, it's incredibly relaxing for the body. And in a session, we actually tap by starting on this squidgy part of the hand, and we say what the problem is, and we then say a second part of the sentence, which is accepting ourselves in spite of the problem. And then we tap through the problem. And as we tap through, basically what's happening is the brain is receiving a message. Even though I've got this problem, I can relax. And when I relax, I can let go of the problem. And that's a very simplified version of it. But basically, you can let go of problems and you get these reframes. So when your brain lets go of the problem, it can see things in a totally different light. So it's a really interesting technique. And particularly if you don't know the answer to something, you tap all the confusion away and suddenly your brain goes, that's it. So it's a very powerful technique, and I use it with a blend of other coaching techniques. And Ad and I, when we work together, we do a mix of your processes, a bit of mine.
Smorgasbord, but the tapping is lovely. It's really nice, and even if you don't really understand what the problem is, you can just tap through it, and it will leave you feeling different. Even just doing that 2 minutes, then following you, I feel calmer. It's really nice.
Well, it's a somatic technique, which means it's releasing the tension in the body around the issue. So we release it mentally and in the body, and that's an ads process is different, but the same idea that it's just not always in the mind, because we're all rational beings. We know our stuff, and letting it go on a deeper level.
So I think, having gone through and done as much work as you had over 15 years, I guess, in total.
Yeah.
8 years with me. You must be a much better coach for that. You must understand, you must have a lot more empathy for people.
Yeah.
When they're a bit stuck, right?
Yeah.
How does it play out?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because we can't obviously bring our own lens to our clients' issues, because that would be incorrect. But I think when you have this deep level of inquiry in yourself and intuition in the end, I think when you work on yourself at this level, you increase your own intuition. And I think it really helps us connect with clients, definitely be able to be in their shoes. And absolutely, it brings a level of comprehension, I guess.
Nice, nice. So if anyone's interested in coaching with Wendy, you've heard a bit of her story. She's got some unique experiences and as a result, great insights. If you're stuck, if you've gone through grief, anything else, is it happiness?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately to help people get unstuck, overcome stress and overwhelm. I work with women, and I work with quite a lot of professional women, but not solely, around stress and anxiety, getting unstuck, and some grief. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Well, I'll put Wendy's contact details and website in the blurb so anyone can have a look at that. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the experiences you've had on the journey? Words for anyone who isn't sure whether this is for them or not. They've probably heard your story and thought, God, I don't want to do that for 8 years.
Totally, and I will reiterate that I think I'm extreme would be the wrong word, but most people don't take the time it took to undo. But mine was a lifetime's worth of repeated pain. What I would say about working with Ad is he is unbelievably intuitive. I've already said, but so welcoming and safe and non-judgmental, and I think that is so powerful in the coaching relationship. There is nothing I have, and I've told Ad lots of things, and there's nothing that he doesn't. I've never felt judged, and we laugh a lot. Even though this is hard work, he's a laugh, and we've had a laugh. And I think without the humor, it would have been quite challenging.
God, much harder.
Yeah.
There's so much healing in laughter.
Yeah.
It's such a great release, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone who's curious, I suggest you book a call with Ad and go for it. A happy life is what we all really want, and that fulfillment and sense of purpose is just key to our happiness.
Yeah, and one other thing I would say is whether you're to get to what you want takes 2 months or 7 years, you're probably not going to want to stop at that point, and you're going to have the tools. I'll teach you the tools that will allow you to continue doing the work yourself. And also, you might want to plug in at various times when things are going wrong, when you need that extra little bit of help with direction to take it to the next level still. This game is about going to a higher and higher level, and it doesn't just stop where you are right now, right? You've got the things you wanted, feeling great, but it can get better still, right?
Totally. And life is, we evolve throughout our lives. So then it's the next layer. It's okay, how do I step up in my business, or how do I take my relationship to the next level? Whatever it is that you have achieved now, we're going to continue the journey. So absolutely.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you very much, Wendy. Much appreciated.